like
just
there was no
concentrate on that game.
All right, tomorrow we'll talk about Rangers, we'll talk about Rivers United, they're playing on Sunday, and then we'll talk about Wiki Tourist. We'll talk about all the other teams tomorrow, all right? Hopefully we should be hooking up with somebody in Bauchi. We'll try to establish contact with somebody in Bauchi and talk about Wiki Tourist, because everybody seems to think that Wiki are the only club that may not make it beyond this stage. But I have a different idea. We'll talk to somebody in Wiki tomorrow on the show, all right? So we wish the Nigerian clubs all the best of luck. We'll still discuss all of these issues on Sports Tonight tomorrow. Guys, let me talk a little bit of grassroots. Let me take you to Ilorin, and I want to talk to you about this story. It's an interesting story for me, and I'm happy for this man, a good friend who has been inspired by what Channels TV is doing. He told me that, look, I'm doing an under-13 tournament for junior secondary school because of what Channels TV is doing. And I said, okay, we'll talk about it. And it's happening in Ilorin, Kwara State capital. The quarterfinal results of games played yesterday. CNS, I know this school very well, produced Olakpada Adenekon. Used to be a very good sports school. They lost 0-1 to Okelele. And then Karumo lost 3-5 to Abata Gambari. I'm sure those in Ilorin will understand where these schools are based. And then quarterfinal games next week, you have Dr. Bukola will be taking on GSS. GSS is Government Secondary School. Used to be one of the high-profile schools in Ilorin those days. Wow. And then Ojagboro will be taking on Okiose. All right? I hope I didn't mix up that one. These are quarterfinal fixtures of the Under-13 Cup in Ilorin, Kwara State. We commend them for what they're doing, and I hope that they can continue on the long haul. Guys, let's take a break. This time, bring you a beautiful story, a beautiful track on brain damage. Scientists have found signs of brain damage that could cause dementia in a handful of former football players. It's an interesting story and a research that's been carried out about brain damage. And this is fueling worries about the danger of frequent knocks from heading the ball or colliding with others on the pitch. Football is eye contact sports, and these injuries happen regularly in a football game. You have head clash, you have collisions of all types. The small study was the first of its kind involving post-mortems of 6 men who died with dementia after long careers playing soccer. The study, published in the journal Acta Neuropathologica on Wednesday, followed 14 retired football players with dementia and secured permission for post-mortem examination for 6 of them. All right, we'll listen to them, and then we'll be back with more on Sports Tonight.
Going throughout your brain, you've got lots of tiny blood vessels, and there's tearing around the blood vessels. You know, your brain is like blancmange in consistency, but your blood vessels are just a little bit tougher, and so if you do a rapid rotation, they act like little cheese wires and do bits of damage around them and cut the nerve fibers, and that type of damage is also distinctive for CTE. You know, footballers definitely try and avoid concussions, so it's a very different situation. Of course, you know, we're putting the blame on Heading in this interview, but actually, you know, of course, occasionally footballers do get concussed because of banging of heads, and we can't actually say it's Heading that's the problem. It could in fact be the occasional concussions that footballers get. I want to emphasize, though, that the people we've studied, these are people who are professional footballers, who played football probably every day of their lives for 25 to 30 years, probably many hours a day. This is very different from a casual weekend player or a school player. It's just a different order of magnitude of contact. So I think it's a bit dangerous to actually separate them completely, because there are commonalities between them, and certainly they are additive pathology. So if you've got a little bit of brain damage to do with an Alzheimer change and a little bit of brain damage to do with CTE, you're more likely to be demented.
All right, so that's it. Interesting report. So should we advocate that players will be putting on headgear these days?
I think the key thing here,
reduce the risk of this
the key thing to
clashes and all of that.
The key thing to what Jeff Assel, because he was the West Brom player who died of this in 2002. The key thing is research. I think more research is needed.
Yeah.
And that's what the FA has talked about. They'll be dedicating a whole lot of resources to research. Although the good news is that if you play football for fun, I mean recreationally, your chances of having dementia are very, very, very low. The 12 players who were researched upon, players who started playing football when they were so young,
for
teenagers.
20, 25 years.
Yeah, so
lengthy careers.
yeah, but the key thing for me, I think, is research.
It's not just football. It must be said. Most sports, the afterlife of some of these sportsmen, especially with those contact sports, not always good. And you know, some people are already talking about probably putting a ban on boxing and you know all of those sports. So,
or just make the sports a lot safer.
a lot safer. So it's like you said, a lot of research will go, a lot of studies to really ascertain what should be done, and you know the safety of the key actors is very key. But I don't think football is endangered because of this. But then a lot to be looked into, and you know, to ensure the safety of the players.
All right, let's quickly tell you that tonight is a massive night of football. After the Champions League games on Tuesday and Wednesday, we're having a step down to the UEFA Europa League tonight. All right, but I'm told we need to pause and go on a quick break. When we return from that break, we'll update you with some of the games of the UEFA Europa League. Okay, let me just quickly tell you that Manchester United 1-0 up over Saint-Etienne. Guess who the goal scorer is? Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Of course, that game has been in the news for a long while because of the brothers, Pogba brothers, Paul on one side and the other brother playing for Saint-Etienne. And of course, earlier on, Ghent beat Tottenham Hotspur 1-0, and it was a good showing for the Nigerians in Ghent. That's talking about Moses Simon and Anderson Eziti, who both were outstanding for their club. So we'll go on a break now. When we return, we'll flash back to what happened in the UEFA Champions League, particularly yesterday. And Yemi Adebayo will be telling us how much he has recovered from the shock of the 5-1. Not a shock, really, because it's been happening every time. 5-1 last year, 5-1 this year. All right, we'll go on that break. We'll be back with more for you on Sports Tonight. Join us again.